Joining me now on the show is Nilesh Lele, President, Chamber for Advancement of Small and Medium Businesses. Thank you very much, Nilesh, for joining us. MSMEs has been in the past also, and even in this budget, has been one of the biggest focus areas as far as the government is concerned, as far as the budget speech also was concerned. What is your takeaways from what's been announced for the sector and the kind of benefit and impact it's going to have?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. And first and foremost, I would like to thank our Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, as well as our Honorable Prime Minister for dishing out a lot of good SOPs for the MSMEs. I've listed out around 7-8 highlights of the budget, which will help MSMEs grow even further. And as we all know, MSMEs contribute more than 40% to the GDP, as well as more than 40% to the exports, and employs more than 11 crore or 110 million people across India. So it's a very important component of our industry as well as our society. So just to highlight some of the initiatives, there's going to be a self-financing guarantee fund under which up to 100 crore per applicant will be given to facilitate term loans for the MSMEs. I think it's a great initiative. The CGTMSE or the Credit Guarantee Scheme is going to also be used to facilitate term loans for MSMEs. Again, this is a welcome move. It has been in place for quite some time, and I know there's bigger push for banks to do that. New credit assessment models. A lot of public sector banks have been encouraged to set them up internally so that the credit lending, which is a big pain point for MSMEs, will be streamlined. The Mudra loans, again, the cap has been increased from 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs for people who have already repaid and have shown good track record. Trades, which is another great initiative launched a few years back, which is on the trades receivable, where you can do bill discounting of our invoices, which will again increase the credit availability and reduce the working capital cycle, is another great initiative where the platform is reducing its onboarding from 500 crore to 250 crore as a minimum requirement of turnover for the buyers. From the SIDBI, there are going to be more and more branches focusing on MSME clusters and giving out more MSME loans. Certain SOPs have also been given to the food industry, which is like very important to increase the farmers' income and value add for the agriculture. And so there are going to be more food irradiation units, which will help our seafood and spices and other export industries. There's a lot of budget allocation for the food quality and safety testing labs, again, which will help in increasing our exports. And creating e-commerce export hubs is another thing where through the PPP model, a lot of these artisans across India can actually export their products globally. So once again, I would like to thank our Finance Minister as well as the complete cabinet and Honorable Prime Minister for dishing out a lot of good initiatives for the MSME industry.
Right. Nilesh, what, according to you, at this point in time, are the biggest issues that are being faced by the, MSME companies at this point? And do you think that what has been announced so far addresses all of those issues, or is there scope for more to be done?
So credit is probably the biggest challenge, availing loans, yes. Also working capital. That is the biggest challenge any MSME faces. And especially during COVID, the working capital cycles have almost doubled or in cases tripled. So making credit easily available, be it through trades, where now your invoices, which typically get paid after 90 days, can be discounted and you can get the money in less than 5 days. So that is one thing. The CGTMSE or collateral-free loans are another great initiative, which will again help a lot of these MSMEs to prosper. And the second biggest challenge is getting market. Many MSMEs have great product, but they're not able to find the market for them. So through a lot of these initiatives, they will not just be able to find markets in India, but also markets abroad through the e-commerce hub or some of the other initiatives that have been launched in this budget.
Right. And Mr. Lele, there are a lot of startups also which are, entering this particular space to make it easier for credit to be available to MSMEs, working as the liaison between the lender, the banks, and the MSME. How has all this changed the entire structure of the MSME industry? because I've spoken to a lot of startups who have been working on this, and now, of course, with all of these announcements also coming in. So what is going to be the long-term impact on all of this put together for the industry?
So there is a lot of overlap between the definition of a startup and an MSME per se. But traditionally, the MSMEs have grown or availed credit through banks, whereas startups have typically availed credit or funds through equity. So that is the key difference, how the whole startup versus MSME things have evolved in last 5 to 10 years in India. But bottom line remains the same, that you need to have the funds with you when you need them. And secondly, the product that you have needs to get market for it. So whether you are a startup, whether you are an MSME, or whether you are any industry for that matter, these two things are very, very important. And like I said, through today's budget, a lot of streamlining of on these two aspects, a lot of focus has been given on giving help to the MSMEs or the startups by giving easier credit, and also being able to achieve global market.
All right, Nilesh, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts and explaining the impact on the MSME sector.